Thank you, Nikhil. It's good to see a turn out the first time Nikhil's doing this. He's done an outstanding job organizing this, so thank you for doing that, and the committee as well. So we will. Nikhil's also in my class, so I told him that he can't cut me off at any point. I have some additional leverage on him, so I might have you up there for hours. It's really tough to know. I'm going to try to tell you a little bit as I can in sort of a half-hour window just about MedShape, which is one of our startups. And I was looking at what I would present to you, and I realized it's probably helpful to talk a lot about the very early stages of it, sort of how we went through some of the early things, and then I'll hit the fast forward button. For those who don't know, that's like on cassette recorders and stuff. And fast forward something, you'll never know that. But I'll hit that. It'll go a little quicker towards the end. I'll show you where we're at right now. We were, and I agree with Nana, and I'll show you one of the areas. I'm using this just for slides, by the way, so this isn't the fast forward button yet. So I'll show you what we found in MedShape on, just sort of the clinical need. I agree wholeheartedly. You look at some clinical problem, especially biomedical, and decide there's something there. And you have to be careful. It doesn't have to be a clinical need that has a big market necessarily. You just have to decide how you're going to go after it. The big market helps, and you'll attract more money that way, and actually that will you'll be able to do. But you can go after smaller clinical needs too, and go after funding in different ways. There's lots of different mechanisms to do that. So we were looking at this area of hindfoot fusion, and I had a surgeon approach me and say, I'm putting these nails to fuse an ankle. And if you probably no one here knows anyone that's had an ankle fusion, I'll show you the market size. It's relatively small. It's relatively small for biomedical. It's probably a $100 million market. But the problem is for the patients that get this kind of hindfoot fusion, they're in a really, really severe state. They have very bad arthritis. They're in a situation where they either have an amputation or a fusion. So for those patients, it's really critical. And a lot of people that have the amputation are in such bad state of health, they often die shortly after the amputation. So pretty high rate. So we were looking at this, and if you look at the literature, there's just a massive, this is a recent article, there's a massive failure of these procedures. So not only do you have an option of amputation or fusion, but if you get the fusion, there's about a 50% chance it's not going to work. So it's a pretty strong clinical need. By the way, we looked at two. This is one area we looked at. I won't go through the whole story, but we also looked at ACL reconstruction, which is a totally different area. We launched products in both areas. And the one we did much better was the one where we had a better clinical need. The one without the really, really strong clinical need, but we kind of had a cute, kind of cool product, didn't do as well. So that's my one lesson, to go after the one where you really see the benefit, the clinical benefit. So this is our thing, and what I'll show you is our first kind of concept. Our general concept was to use shaper and realize to solve this problem. You know, shaper and realize is the material that can recover large strains. Is there a volume under there? Can't hear that. Where's the volume?
There's a little side volume on the video.
Right side fast forward.
I'm going to turn the volume down because who knows what's also said during that video.
I think we should be good.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So that's actually a metal that's rebounding like a rubber band. And so shaper and reality is materials that can rebound. And our concept was this, and this is how you have an idea. This is to show you the beginning stages of a company. The surgeon said, I'm putting these nails in, and when I go back to do surgery, they're loose. He said, and I've been reading online, which, by the way, is dangerous. So it's like a surgeon reads online. I'm sorry, it's always like the same as a patient reading online. He's like, I've been reading online, and I've heard that metals can creep. Is this metal like creeping? It's not holding the joints together? And I said, no. Creep happens at about 1,000 centigrade, so it's probably not happening in your patient. But what was happening was it's more likely the bones are changing and resorbing, and the metal's not adjusting to it. So our concept was kind of broad and simple, which was, can we put a metal in there that's stretchy and can adjust to what's happening, right? So that was sort of the broad. To show you how crude the ideas are when you first start a company, this was our first drawing of the concept. You know, and I've saved this for a long time because it's just so ridiculously crude. It doesn't even have the regular toes. So, it was drawn by a surgeon, which made me more nervous. So the idea was put this big thing in here. This thing will magically stretch down and kind of create compression. And then when the bones heal, that if we have that stretchy material stretched across, it can then kind of adjust itself and pull. So it took us. That was kind of our concept. And so based around that concept and a couple of, that was in 2006. Based around that concept, we started the company in 2000, well, that was in 2005. We started the company in 2005, but what I've been told is you really don't have a company until you have money in there. That's what the new CEO told me. So we had a couple years with no money, but we did have a company. And so we had, just like you'd started, we filed the paperwork, we split the equity, we did everything wrong you could do. So we split the equity all evenly, invested everyone 100%, other people left right away. So there's a lot of mistakes you can make we can talk about later. And then in 2007 took on our first CEO. We found someone and said, all right, we're going to bring someone on, and try and help lead the company. It's hard to do. And by the way, the company was me and two of my students and one other professor. And so started it that way. In 2007, the first CEO came on, and he said he was someone I went to school with, and so I think he didn't want to offend me, but he's like, we're really, the balance sheet's not looking real good. It was like, I think it was $0 on it, so the worst it could possibly look. And he said, well, let's start by putting our own money in. Let's just figure out what everyone can put in. He's like, it helps people feel committed. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to put my money in. I can tell he's like, you're putting some money in. So we cobbled together about $50,000, which is a pretty good sum of money, but in a medical device company, you got to get a lot more than this down the road. This got us started. This gave my student, as he graduated, the job. He started this, went in there, did it. I found that amount of money is about a magic number. You need about that to get moving on something. It may not take you very far, but at least get some people going. You're traveling a little. It became real. And it actually made a big difference. I realized when I actually cut the first check to do it, and it wasn't like I was a professor, at the time. I wasn't cranking out the cash. It was enough to make me take to the next level. I'm like, wow, this is serious. So we did that, and what do we do with that money? And you had the 5 Ps. I have the 3 Ps, which are people, prototypes, and patents. That's what we spent it on, right? So you put your first employee in there, you kind of work on some stuff. You got to make a prototype. Why? Because your next thing that you have to do is get more money. So you have to we made a prototype of some of these devices, and some of the early prototypes were terrible. One of them could apply like 2 tons of pressure, which is too much for the foot. And so you make prototypes, and then you offer some IP. You need to have patent protection. So that's what you do with that kind of initial seed money. We got to about 2008 with that money, and I have 5 minutes left now. Don't be hungry. So we got to about 2008 with that money, and the CEO said, we're going to have to raise more. We've got the prototypes. Let's go tell the story. And he said, let's go approach our friends and family. And I thought, this guy's nuts. I've heard that this is the way to do it. And I told him, I'm not really comfortable with that. Why don't we go to the VCs? I just knew the terms at that point. I didn't know what they all meant. Why don't we go to these people and get money? I don't want to go to my friends and family. And he said, he kind of was like, we need to talk. And I thought, oh, goodness. And that's someone I've known for a very long time. And he said, I left my job to come to this company. And he's like, you either believe in this thing so much that you will go to all your friends and you will ask for money and you'll do this, or you don't. And he's like, if you don't, I've made a massive error. I shouldn't have come here. And it was a pretty life-changing moment for me because I realized someone that I've known for a long time said, you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to say, this is something I'm gonna put a lot of my eggs in this basket. And I looked at him, he had 2 young kids, he left his job, he was working at McKinsey, which is, it's a pretty good consulting firm, so his salary was cut by at least a factor of 10. And we went to friends and family. So I trusted him, we went there. And, we ended up raising about $700,000. It wasn't, I didn't have people identified ahead of time. I didn't know that this was going to be something possible. There's people that contributed that I never thought would. There's people I thought, oh, they're going to be great, and they didn't do anything. It's really hard to know, but it was a way that we believed that we showed our passion for the idea. We had surgeons, and we ultimately raised some money and went there. So raised the money to do that. With that money, our idea was to get very close to a prototype to be cleared by the FDA. And we got Close. We got partway there. This is a 510K path, so totally different than others. And we had 2 products running in parallel. I'm kind of just telling the story with one of them. We then were faced with, we needed more money at that, so you take that 700K, you get kind of all the prototype designs done, you get to the point where you've got a product that you believe will beat the predicate, which is for the FDA 510K path critical. We were there with about that much money. We couldn't make the clearance with that much, so we either had to partner, or we had to, which is, I think what Madden's company did, that they had a bigger FDA barrier than us, or we had to go after ourselves, right? And we ultimately chose, we had 2 things on the table. We met with some VCs in Silicon Valley, and they gave us a term sheet. And then we also met with a strategic partner. That company was called ArthurCare. They're a pretty big medical device company. If you know anything about ArthurCare, a whole bunch of those people are now in jail, so I'll describe what happened there. But we ultimately chose the partnership. We said we're going to partner, and they're going to help us take it to market. Our vision was we want this to impact people, and that it's hard to tell which way we were going to make more money on, and that's always a tough way to go. Like, well, I do better. Well, I make some money this way or this way, and that's always dangerous thinking, I think. But we thought the partnership was the best way to get it to the market. That was in 2000. That was in 2009, 2008, 2009, and we partnered. They had rights to all our products. They were going to help us develop them, help us clear them. We also raised in parallel some extra money from just to keep our own operations going, a little bit extra from the same friends and family network. And you never know where your network of people is going to come from. I'll just give you an example. One of my friends from college, they put a little bit of money in, and then they introduced us to a family called the Hills family. They had founded a company called Sage Products. It's not a company many people would know, but they invented the Sharps container, which is like that red box on hospital walls. So if you can imagine, they're doing all right. And they invented that kind of during the time when AIDS and some other infectious diseases were just becoming really a scare for people, and so those became mandated right when their company was founded. And so they were a very wealthy family who was interested in medical device innovation. They ultimately put in some of the early seed rounds for us. So they put in a little bit. We went with a partnership. And a partnership is a good thing when it works and just a disaster when it doesn't work. And for us, it was sort of a serendipitous situation that turned out really good. But I think I heard Nan say also, you have to be ready for things to go really wrong a lot. And you have to, like, when things are going totally disastrous wrong, you have to sort of stand there and be like, hey, this is looking pretty good. And it's coming. So some people say it's like a roller coaster ride. That's not accurate enough. There has to be sections of the track missing. I would say it's accurate enough, and you're probably what you're ready for. So we formed the partnership, and the person that did the partnership deal, as soon as we locked in the partnership, he left. And I was like, okay, that's pretty normal. And our CEO was like, it's a little abnormal they left so soon. And it turned out that ArthurCare, you can look it up in the news, they were actually cooking the books and stuffing the channel, and those people that were dealing with all went to jail. So we were this tiny little company that was like linked to them, and while all these things came down, and so that was the really bad part. You're just thinking, this is it. I just wasted. I'm stuck. I'm never going to get out of this. We're stuck with these people. Well, whatever happened, I don't know if they were worried about jail or what. They released us from the contract, so we ended up being completely released, and we got $2 million out of the deal, and that was the end of it. So it really turned out to be something good. I can't explain to you how bad it looked at one point. It really looked like it was going to be disastrous, and it turned out to be something where we ended up getting because they broke the contract and there was all this illegal stuff happening, we got out without a really, really big legal spend. And, so then we're sitting there going, all right, well, we got everything back. We didn't have tons of money on the balance sheet, a couple $1 million, which is decent, but you can kind of move forward. And that would have been about 2010. And what we did there was we were having trouble getting the Dynamail through the FDA. And I know there's an FDA representative here, so I won't say anything bad. But we were having some difficulty with some of the things. They were saying that it was, there's no other device that adjusts like this post-operatively. You're going to have to do a human clinical trial. Not surprising things, but we were sort of hoping they weren't going to ask those things. And we kind of were going back and forth with them. But in the meantime, we launched another product. And we decided we were going to launch a suture anchor, which is a really easy product to launch. And we need something to start generating some sales because it's been a little while. When you're in a company that's developing 510K products, it's a little different than a PMA. At some point, people want to see something starting to come out. And we launched a suture anchor. That's when I started to learn the other dark side, which is sales and marketing. I thought the engineering side was tough, but that gets to another whole level. And so we had this nice projection. We're going to sell $2 million a year of the suture anchor to kind of help fuel the business, and we sold about 100K that year. So we were off by about a factor of 20. It's not a real good financial model. We're off that far, so that was a little challenging. But we found out a lot about marketing and how to figure out how to sell your products and what to do. It's just a sort of a funny story about this that related to surgeons. We're marketing our product that had really good strength, that you could anchor something that was for tying tissue down, which is a different product than this. And we were marketing it based on how strong it was. The problems the surgeons were all like, it is, and they would pull on it. And it was like times actually in the OR would pull out. And it was almost like our marketing, we realized our marketing pitch was creating something that was not, they weren't doing normally. You watch them in a normal surgery, they weren't doing this. So it's really learned some lessons there. But ultimately that product became a decent product for us. It's now selling and doing pretty well. Fast forward a little bit to the time we ultimately got it through the bad, evil FDA. I can say that. He's my former student, so it's okay. Got it through the FDA, and we launched the product in about 2012. And when you launch a product, and so this is fairly recently, if you look at the time frame there, we stuck with this product for pretty many years. It was a good 6-7 year run from conception to putting the product out. This is a 510K, but probably one of the harder 510Ks. Started getting into the $10-15 million spend to get through the product. It's still nothing compared to $150 million to do it, but it starts to get there. We launched in 2012. Still, some skeptics, people were saying, these patients are in such bad shape. It's not that whatever your magic nail is not going to solve the problem. It's something else. It's biological or it's physiological. There's nothing your mechanical device can do. So I'll fast forward to a little bit of what we got with it then. By the way, there's some other things. This is funny. We filed some IP and we found out that, like a lot of people, we weren't the first with this idea. We couldn't even find the other people that thought about it because it was so old that it wasn't showing up in the internet searches. But we had some old IP that showed up in like the 70s, and we were able to get around some of it, but you'd be surprised how many things have been reinvented. And there was reasons they didn't commercialize it that we fixed, but there was concepts really there a long time ago. So I'm not going to go through some basic science stuff. This, by the way, gives you an idea of actually I'm not going to show that right now. Show what the final device looks like. Is there a music? Okay. Yeah, there's a horrible song in this thing, and I'm watch the video. It's projected 5 minutes right down the time. So this is what the final product ended up looking like. It looks like a normal nail. You notice our marketing's gotten a lot better than the first drawing. I'd like to tell you that takes anything besides some investment of cash, but unfortunately that's what it takes. And then this now it has the stretchy element on the inside. The reason we put it on the inside was you could still make a relative change in position of the screw holes, but you could be protected in bending and all the other modes of deformation. So this thing would come in, we put it in, we would stretch it, we then pin it there, it would be in a stretch state, and then as the body adjusts itself, this will just move like a rubber band. It's like a metallic rubber band across the fusion joint. You could try to do this with springs or other complex mechanisms, nothing's strong enough to do it, that's the problem. Fast forward to 2015, we actually made the cover of Foot and Ankle Specialist because of our fusion rates. We moved the fusion rates from about 50% to about 95% over about 400 patients. So there's a massive change in what you see in the fusions. And this is Sam Adams, who's a surgeon at Duke. This is kind of one of his surgeries that we made the cover on. I don't know what that other stuff is, but why it's related. It's not related to ours. That's a badly deformed foot. I'll show you one example case, and then we'll kind of stop. Here's a failed case of one. What happens when these fail is if the joint doesn't fuse, the hardware just can't hold the foot. Eventually, the hardware breaks. And so this is a great example. This guy's a 66-year-old man, diabetic. He has a Smith & Nephew nail. It's a huge company. 6 months of bone stimulation, and then another 6 months after they waited an entire year and just could not get this to fuse. And so they can see a little gap there, but it's hard to see on X-ray, but it's not fused. And then when it doesn't fuse, it doesn't hold load, and it breaks all the rest of the hardware. We took this exact same patient, and we have this story probably 50 times over. We've done about 50 revisions of our nails. Exact same patient, 4 months fused. And there's no reason to believe this person didn't change any of their habits or anything. There's no reason to believe that there's not something reason for it. And what happens is, this is the beginning of the case. This isn't fused yet. But what happens is, here's the element. When this position, when it moves, here's the screw, sorry, the element's at the center. When this moves up the slot, you can actually track and watch that this is happening. And that would really convince the surgeons. They realize, I can watch this thing working. It's harder to do with drugs and other things, but they started to see that patients that were having trouble fusing were actually, this was moving 6 millimeters, as much as 6 millimeters. If you wouldn't have moved that 6 millimeters, you would have formed it. So, all right, so that was kind of the story. I'll fast, like I said, I'll go just in 30 seconds through the rest. By the way, we raised about $10 million to launch that product. It takes a decent amount of money to do. And at this point, we were raising all from angel investors. And I think at large enough sums of money, angel investors and VCs start acting very similar. It's just really a matter of how much you go. You know, we had a lot of angel investors who said, we don't act like VCs, but as soon as they got enough money, they're exactly the same. So I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, that's just sort of the way it comes with larger sums of money. And so if you fast forward, that was then in 2013, 15. We now have about 6 products out. We're a company, we're sort of, at this point, at an interesting transition. We've built it to a level where we're about sustainable, and then you have a hard question left, which is, do you raise more money and try to grow to the next level, or do you let someone buy you, or do something like this? And that's kind of the stage we're at right now. I have a couple companies looking to buy us. If you have a good company with good technology, someone's usually always trying to buy you. The real question, the real question, I'm just kidding. The real question is it an offer you want to take? You know, and if your mission is to impact patients, regardless of the money or not, sometimes your technology is better than a larger company, and that's what we're kind of looking at right now. So that's it.